Ever feel like you're talking to a brick wall when you're using an AI? Yeah, you're not alone. Look, we all know how to write a simple prompt, right? But to get those really powerful, mind-blowing results, you've got to go way beyond the basics. So, let's get into it. We're going to look at some advanced techniques that will totally change how you work with AI. It's super frustrating, right? You ask what feels like a perfectly simple question, and the AI comes back with something that's, well, kind of useless. It's vague, it's flat out wrong, or it just misses the point entirely. But here's the thing, the problem usually isn't the AI, it's how we're asking. Think about it like this. You wouldn't try to build a house with just a hammer, would you? Of course not. To get sophisticated results, you need a whole set of specialized tools. So today, that's what we're doing. We're going to stock up your AI prompting toolbox with 6 seriously powerful chain of techniques. Each one is designed for a very specific and often very complex task. All right, first up, let's talk about language. We're going to look at 2 tools that are all about making the AI a better writer and a better translator. The goal here is getting the absolute best quality and density out of the text it generates. Okay, so the first tool in our kit is called Chain of Density, and its superpower, creating these incredibly rich, information-packed summaries. The whole point is to cram as much useful info as possible into a really short piece of text, kind of like a professional human editor would do, but, at lightning speed. So, how does this actually work? It's pretty cool. As you can see, it's an iterative process. First, in step 1, the AI spits out a really basic, kind of generic summary. Then, and this is where it gets smart, in step 2, it looks at that summary and identifies 1 to 3 key details or entities that are missing. The real magic, though, happens in step 3. It rewrites the summary to include those new details, but, and you gotta catch this, it has to keep it the exact same length. It's forced to be more concise and clever with its wording. Then it just repeats that process over and over, making the text denser and more informative each time without adding a single extra word. So why should you care? Well, if you've ever had to get up to speed on a long article, a dense research paper, or even just a bunch of news reports, this is an absolute game changer. It gives you the juicy, detailed core of a document in a format that's still super quick and easy to digest. All right, let's grab the next tool from the box, Chain of Dictionary. This one tackles a huge challenge in the AI world, translating languages that don't have those giant data sets for the models to learn from. These are often called low-resource languages, and they've traditionally been left behind. So instead of needing a direct, say, English to Tamil translation dataset, which might not even exist, this technique gets really clever. It built a bridge. It finds a path by linking words through other languages it does know. For example, it might translate an English word to German, then take that German word and translate it to Hindi, and then finally translate the Hindi word to Tamil. See? It's creating a chain of meaning. This is just a brilliant way to make digital communication more inclusive for literally everyone, no matter where they are or what language they speak. Okay, that was all about language. Now let's switch gears and move into logic. This next set of tools is all about boosting the AI's ability to reason, to check its own facts, and to solve some really tricky problems. First up in this category is Chain of Knowledge. You can think of this as your AI's personal built-in fact checker. It's designed to fight one of the biggest headaches with large language models, when they just make stuff up. You've heard of it, right? Hallucinations. This prompt forces the AI to ground everything it says in cold, hard, verifiable facts. Let's walk through how this works, because it's pretty neat. Imagine you ask the AI for the birth year of the director of some movie. The AI's first guess might be a total shot in the dark. But with Chain of Knowledge, it doesn't just guess. First, it identifies the key piece of info it's missing, the director's name. That's step 2. It goes and queries a reliable source like Wikipedia and finds out the director is this guy, Polito Ortega. Then it queries again for his birth year. In step 3, it takes that verified fact and uses it to correct its own initial answer. Finally, it pulls it all together into a final response that's actually fact-checked. Pretty smart. And the use cases for this are just massive. I mean, think about fields like scientific research or medicine, where precision is absolutely non-negotiable. A tool that forces the AI to be factually accurate, that's not just valuable, it's essential. It's how you build trust. Okay, next up is chain of symbol. And now this one is fascinating. It helps an AI get better at understanding spatial relationships, things like on top of, next to, or behind. And it does it by ditching all the wordy descriptions and using simple symbols instead. Just look at this comparison here. On the left, you've got a standard chain of thought prompt. It's long, it's descriptive, and it totally confuses the AI, which ends up giving the wrong answer. But now look at the right. The chain of symbol prompt cuts through all the noise. The stack is just BADEC. The solution? Remove C, remove E, get D. It's clean, it's logical, and bam, the AI nails it right away. And this isn't just about playing with blocks. This same logic applies to any task that needs spatial reasoning. We're talking about planning a delivery route, giving someone directions, or even figuring out the best way to organize a warehouse. It just makes the AI faster and a whole lot more efficient. All right, for our final section, we're diving into the really deep end, helping an AI understand the subtleties of human communication and emotion. These last two tools are all about nuance. First, we have chain of explanation. This is an absolutely crucial tool for things like content moderation. See, it doesn't just ask the AI if something is, say, hate speech. It forces the AI to explain why it might be by looking for the hidden context and the implied meaning, not just the surface-level words. So how on earth do you get an AI to read between the lines? Well, you prompt it to act like a detective. Instead of just giving it a thumbs up or thumbs down, you ask it to find specific heuristic words, the little clues in the text. Then you ask it to infer the author's likely intention. And finally, to identify the targeted group. By breaking the problem down like this, you force the AI to analyze the full context, not just the vocabulary. And that leads to a much smarter, more nuanced judgment. And that brings us to our final tool, chain of emotion. This one is really for the creators out there. The game developers, the writers, the storytellers. It's a fascinating method for giving digital characters a believable inner life and emotional memory. Here's the gist of how it works. First, using what's called appraisal prompting, the AI figures out how a character should feel based on what's happening. So let's say a character receives a thoughtful gift. They feel happy, right? Okay, step 2. That happy feeling gets stored as part of their emotional history. Now here's the cool part. If, in the very next moment, they receive some bad news, that history influences how they react. Instead of just defaulting to a basic emotion like frustration, they might react with sadness, a much more complex and, frankly, more human response. This could totally revolutionize interactive entertainment. I mean, imagine non-player characters, NPCs, in a video game who actually remember how you've treated them throughout the game and react based on that emotional history. It would create a far more immersive, more personal, and more emotionally resonant experience for the player. So there you have it. 6 powerful, specialized tools to add to your prompting toolbox. Each one helps you move beyond just asking simple questions and start treating your AI less like a search engine and more like a genuinely capable co-pilot. Because when it comes down to it, it's really this simple. Better outputs come from better instructions. The quality of what you get out of an AI is a direct reflection of the quality of what you put in. By learning to use these structured, more thoughtful prompting techniques, you really take control and unlock a whole new level of what these models can do. From super dense summaries and more accurate translations to fact-checked answers and emotionally intelligent characters, the possibilities are just huge. So really, the only question left is, now that you have the tools, what are you going to build?